Wow, this video took me so much energy and work. So show me some love and subscribe to my channel. It's really meaningful for me. Today I will show you that you don't need the newest Too Faced Italian Spritz palette. If you have a vast collection and you love luxury makeup, high-end makeup, you may have a better version of that amazing Too Faced palette. I was almost going to place my order this morning when I said, okay, let me find if I have a better version of it. And I have it. I duped it in a very satisfying way, and we'll go through this. This is an amazing palette, much better than the original one, because it has Pat McGrath, Natasha, Denona and Viseart that are the best eyeshadows in the world. And I put some Suqqu as well. So my trick is that you may be inspired by the newest palette out there, but check your collection. You will be amazed by how well you can dupe the existing palettes that you think you need, but you have a better version of them. So let's dive in. I referred to the swatches that you can find of Makeup.Just.for.fun video. I think that one is the best video about the Too Faced palette. So check her out. I won't share here her swatches because you can check her channel and her swatches, and you will find that mine will be very close with the upgraded formula. So this Too Faced palette is made in Italy, and it has a very bright, trendy color story. All the reviews that I watched confirm that this Italian Spritz palette is high quality. I don't own any Too Faced palette, to be honest, because I can go cheaper with Colourpop if I want specific colors that I know that I won't use too much, or I have amazing formulas from indie brands or pro makeup brands. My takeaway after watching all those videos and reflecting on this color story is that if you own this palette, that is the Mothership Mega Celestial Odissey by Pat McGrath, you have almost half of the colors in the Too Faced palette. And nobody thought about that, but you will see, you will be amazed on how well the colors are duped from this palette. And what I did was actually depotting this palette. I did it right now. I depotted my Pat McGrath palette. And yeah, there were some casualties in the beginning, but then I figured out how to do that. And I took the colors that were dupes and also some colors that I wanted to depot anyway. This palette is discontinued. It was from last holiday, 2021. But if you have it, you really don't need the Too Faced palette. And now we'll do a color analysis and live swatches. So the first shade of the palette is called Oli Cannoli, where cannoli are pastries from Sicily actually. It is a nude pink. I did multiple trials and the best color was this one. That was a close match for me. In my arsenal was not very difficult, to pick up because it was a single from Give Me Glow, and this is Milkshake. So it is a nude pink with a hint of peach. It's very close to the original swatch from Makeup.Just.for.fun. If you proceed in rose, the second color is Ciao Bellini. Bellini is a cocktail based on peaches, therefore this shade is a shimmery peach. The closer dupe that I found was this peach color that was placed here in the Pat McGrath palette. This color here is a peach. You can detect some golden sheen. Is very close to the Too Faced. Maybe this is smoother. This has a smoother quality compared to the original one by Too Faced. Next one is a matte and is called When in Rome. This actually was duped very nicely by layering this shade from the Pat McGrath palette, but this one by Pat McGrath is a tad darker muted compared to the swatch I saw. So I decided to layer it with this one. That is Flower Boy by Colourpop. there. You see how different it is. This is a brighter pastel quality compared to this one, but by layering this on top, it gives that brightness that the Pat McGrath shade alone did not have. It's not my style. I wouldn't put this on my eyes because I would look sick. So it's not for me. I don't like it. It's a candidate to be removed from this palette to have the best version for me. Then there's a shimmery pink called Take Me to Church, and to dupe that I decided to pick this one that is my favorite Clionadh shade, and is Blades. Blades is amazing. Is, as you can see, a multi-chrome with a golden shift. It's the best shade, and it has, you see how beautiful it is. It's very color accurate here. We are in natural lighting. This has the multi-chrome, quality. It shifts a lot, but it is cheap. Usually the cheapest one are less shifty, but it's not the case with Blaze. So this is a great value. Next shade is a matte, and it's called Feeling Saucy, Rusty Orange. I have this amazing eyeshadow that is from Viseart, but it doesn't have that reddish rusty quality, and so the best way to dupe, the best dupe, is actually layering a Suqqu one, that is this from a new palette recently released. Is permanent, is number 13, Ranmanzom, and this one has the rust quality that I was looking for. This alone can be the perfect dupe. I find it that is somewhat muted, so I would add brightness by layering this orange here. I would like to put this shade into my palette because I really want something that is standalone without picking other palettes. So I will show you how to depot a Suqqu eyeshadows. I always explain it, but never done it live, so I will do it live now. You need a clip. Depotting Suqqu is straightforward. Just poke and pop your eyeshadow out. It has glue. And now I need to remove the glue and put this metallic square on the back so that I can place it in my palette. So I did that and placed the metallic rectangle on the back of the Suqqu eyeshadow. We proceed with Lake Como. That shade is one of the best ones. Light periwinkle blue, more light blue than periwinkle, but has some purple in it. I have 3 shades here. Why? The base is actually this color that is from this palette, the Shell Shocked one, doing great. And is this one that I depotted, and this particular palette has pans that are glued, so I used a air dryer. I managed to do that, but you can damage the palette. It is not so straightforward. This color here, doing great, is the reason why I purchased this palette. It's the best color in the palette, in my opinion. But this was a tad, in the trial that I did, was a tad too dark. So I used this as a base, and this is a Clionadh shade that was in the Paleo palette, something like that. It's called Glacial. This is the perfect base because it's light. So it has that brightness that I needed. And then I layer this that has a kind of Super Shock formula on top. And we are reaching the exact color of the Too Faced one. And you can see how beautiful is this pairing. So although I don't usually like orange eyeshadows, this pairing is amazing. And I was so satisfied by this result that I don't need anymore the original Too Faced palette. I was going to buy the palette primarily to have this color, but I have good dupes for it. The other thing that a lot of reviewers complain about the Too Faced palette is that it lacks sparkles, because we are now used to sparkles, glitters, you know, while these are more metallics. So what I did was also include this, and this is the amazing Pat McGrath eyeshadow from the Bridgerton I palette. This one will give you the sparkles that you will need. I managed to depot this shade. It's also close to Astral White from Subliminal palette, so if you don't own the Bridgerton I palette, you can also use that Astral White shade, but it gives the level of sparkles that you may miss, and it has also a purple reflex. You see, is a multi-chrome. So this, if you want more sparkle, is, you know, the amped up version and the best version on the market. So it gives those additional sparkles dimension that the Clionadh plus Colourpop does not give. So I'm very excited because of this. I have the best version possible of the original color. Next we have Toasted in Tuscany, and I chose this one from Viseart. Let me swatch first. This is so close. It's so close. It is this camel, a little bit warm, is amazing paired with this periwinkle blue. This dupe was actually the brown that I picked from this amazing palette from Viseart. It is Paris Love Letter, the color here. Notice also that Viseart was also inspired by the Spritz team, just like Too Faced. Some years ago they proposed this palette that is called Spritz Edit. Yeah, again I have some shades that I've removed. These are quite of similar color stories. However, Too Faced had the ability to introduce some really trendy colors, other colors that we will see here, the purple, while this was more monochromatic. This shade is very nice because it is a shimmery light peach. That's something that is missing here, because this shade is not as bright as this one. It is more orangey. So I think when I will finish to swatch it too, I will add this color, because it's something that brings lightness to the whole color story. So keep in mind that also Viseart has a Spritz themed palette. Chin chin is the way we Italians say cheers before drinking. This is the dupe that I chose for that shade, the Chin Chin, that is from Pat McGrath again. This palette was here. This color is very close. It has some pink reflects that maybe are not present in the original Too Faced palette, but I love this color. You see the pink. It has some shift, some duochrome shift, more golden and pink. You can see from the video here. This shifts, so is a better version again, and it is so smooth like the original Too Faced shade. And then we have the purple. This purple is a shimmery purple, but more in the warm tone, so with pink instead of blue. So it's not lavender. This is so close to the original Too Faced one. And you see how good is the pairing with these browns here. Makeup.Just.for.fun showed a look that was very simple, that was based on these three colors. And the pairing with this under her eyes and this on the lid was very nice. This is picked by Liliac You a lot by Colourpop, and is this middle shade called Fluff. So sometimes instead of a monochromatic look, it's much better to focus on the contrast between brown and purple. Really makes the purple pop. I much prefer rather than an all purple look. Then we have Spaghetti about it. Spaghetti are, you know, stereotype Italian. We eat spaghetti a lot. I've seen abroad restaurants, even expensive restaurants, that provide you a spoon to help you. It's not considered elegant in Italy. That shade could be duped by this one by Pat McGrath. And I did not depot it, nor this one, because honestly these are not my type of shades, so I didn't want to risk to damage the palette anymore, and I didn't want to spend the time on that. So this is a brown that has some pink in it, so it's a warm brown. And as you can see, yeah, it's nice, but to be honest, I'm fine with this one. It is more cool toned. This one, yeah, is nice because it's red and I like this pairing. I may change my preferences in the future and decided to depot this, but I have left a space here. I'm pretty sure that I would never use that shade. Then we have a gold. It seems a warm gold on the pen, but the swatches from Makeup.Just.for.fun are different. This gold seems cool tone yellow. So I decided to pick this shade that is from the Natasha Denona Gold palette. This is also a multi-chrome, you see, because it switches a bit, but I found it much more interesting. It has that lemon yellow quality, but it also shifts to blue, you see, so it's much more interesting of a yellow. It's not the basic yellow, and you are not able to see that shift from the swatch, but from the finger you can definitely see it. You see the blue here, and it's really complex shade, one of the best shade of that gold palette by Natasha Denona. Oops, here. Okay, I washed my hands so I can proceed with the swatches. And now there's a brown. Espresso yourself. Of course, espresso is the drink that we Italians have in the morning and after lunch. We called it caffè here. When you order the caffè, it is implicit that you are ordering an espresso. Abroad, you distinguish because you have, you know, your Americano, a big one, it is extracted in a different way. But our cafe is the espresso one. I chose this color by Viseart from the Grande Pro one in the red row because it's a reddish brown. The red tone pairs very well with the purple in this periwinkle blue. You have some plum, not very visible here, but you can detect that plum tone next to the blue. I also chose another shade here. This was, I believe, from the nude blush, I think, palette by Colourpop. It's a 9-pan palette. This is more espresso, it's more yellow toned brown. This is more cool toned plum. This is more neutral. So I prefer to keep two shades. This seems closer to the swatches by Makeup.Just.for.fun. Then you have Lake and Bake, is a deep teal blue that I picked from Pat McGrath, again, Celestial Odissey palette. It may be more teal than the original one. Also Coconut by Colourpop would be a close dupe. I would add this one, Teal Me More, from those colors were singles. Block Party eyeshadow is, I think, is discontinued by now, but this is a great teal blue, deeper than the other one, with more blue, maybe less teal, more blue. I love this shade, so my perfect palette would have also this one included here. Then Capri Fun is a rich yellow, very close to this shade. This shade is a Colourpop one, is a central shade from a 9-pan palette, Lil Ray of Sunshine, and this is the central shade here. This is a great palette, I love it. The fastest way to dupe that shade would be this one. However, depending on the videos that I watched, I think this is still too yellow compared to the original one that looks more orange. So for me, this is not the best dupe. So I decided to go for a combination of two shades to get the exact shade that I imagine it's the original one. This color is by an indie brand, Raine, is Lemon Drop. They release singles and then they release also a palette. And on top of that, I think that by layering this, that is the Looxi Beauty Pumpkin Spice Life, this gives that hint of orange that makes this perfect. That rich yellow with a lot of orange in it. Tangerine, maybe, is the best way to describe it. Then there's Mamma Mia, is like saying, my gosh, they chose a red plum. That color is a color that I hate. So I don't have that color because whenever I find it, I try to resell it or declutter it. I put a red here because, yeah, it's a reddish tone. This is another color Raine that is called Sauce, but is more red. There's a base, and I can think about layering with one of the plums. Maybe this one can be enough, can give that brown coat. Viseart shades like this are amazing for layering because you really can deposit a veil of color. So you can have something similar to this. Maybe this is more rusty compared to the original color, but I'm pretty sure you have plenty of these if you like that shade. I don't need this shade. I'm even allergic to this kind of shade, so this will be removed from my selection because I can't use that shade, but this would be my match. Then you have a gunmetal shade with some gold particles, Como After Dark. And of course I was not recording, so we were at the gunmetal. So for the gunmetal I chose in another shade from the Pat McGrath, was the black one. This one, okay, this one has some multicolor sparkles. You see, is more like blue sparkle, more cool tone, champagne and blue. So I would add this gold by Natasha Denona on top to make it closer to the gunmetal in the original palette, but it's fine to dupe it this way for me. Then we have the last two mattes. One is called Impastable, related to the pasta. I chose a yellow brown, that is this one, from the Colourpop, again, Lil Ray of Sunshine. This was a tad too light, so I also added this shade from the Tropic palette. And finally, we have a cream color that is exactly like this one. It is called Gelato in the original Too Faced palette, and I duped it with this cream color here, again from Colourpop Lil Ray of Sunshine, but it's a cream color that you can find almost everywhere. So my perfect palette would have this red removed because it's not my type of shade. And I would add a salmon pink that I picked from this Viseart Spritz Edit palette, again Spritz themed palette. And together with this other cream cycle, I think it's called, or something like that, but is actually a peachy, an amazing peachy tone that I think it brings more to the palette. You need something like that, to some light shimmery shades, otherwise the palette's still too dark. This is the exact palette of my dreams. My perfect palette would require some taupes. So instead of the pink, I would add instead MAC Omega. That is an amazing taupe. I'm very excited to try this one. I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe and like this video. Bye bye.